Okay, here we go for the third stream of the day. To make sure everybody is in the right place, I'm going to need two different things. First of all, everybody please say hi on the Discord channel, where I just typed here. And also, everybody please say hi on the Twitch chat, where I also just said here. I really recommend that you guys, if you can, will join the voice channel. It's called Progra. It's in the category Canales de Voz Abiertas, the Discord server we're using. So you guys can talk to each other there. When we're done with the stream, I'm also going to join you there so that you can talk to me as well. But while we're on Twitch, you just talk to each other, and I read both of these chats. I have a huge amount of highs in Discord, but many fewer on Twitch. So I'm thinking people maybe didn't make Twitch accounts and they can't talk on the chat. So please consider making a Twitch account. I think you get a little bit less ads if you have a Twitch account. Anything we do on Twitch is going to be recorded regardless, and it's also going to be later exported to YouTube, so you can look at it later there. But it's convenient if you're able to also interact with me on Twitch. If you would like to get notifications anytime I do anything on Twitch, you can just follow. If you only want notifications for the programming classes, you need to find the section on Twitch that says schedule, and then only sign up for the notifications for the programming classes themselves. I'm going to begin with a very brief overview of Discord. Then we'll take a tiny little look on Twitch so that everybody's okay with these tools. Then we're going to be looking at the course website. And then we're going to start learning to program. So, okay, my Discord looks a little bit different from yours for two reasons. First of all, I'm in something called streamer mode. It doesn't show all kinds of previews to protect the privacy of the people who talk to me. And the other thing is I'm a paid Discord user. You can tell because I have animated icon on my person. We have an animated icon for the server. I can do all kinds of funky things you guys can do. Free users can do tons. But if you're administrating a server like me that has like, how many people do we have here? Let's look at it. We have like over 600 people. Yeah, we have 707 people on the server. So it's a good thing that I'm a paying user who's boosting the server, but you guys are fine without having to pay. Both on Discord and on Twitch, you don't have to pay anyone anything unless you really, really want to. So important things to understand about Discord is that on this side, I have the channels. These are all the different servers I'm on, and the one with the cat is the one we're using for the classes. You can expand and close the categories. We can see here the new people who are arriving. If you would like to mute a channel, you can right-click on it and mute it, and then not get any notifications for it. I'm gonna just mute Bienvenidos for 15 minutes. If you collapse a voice category, you still see all the little icons here. If you leave it open, you can actually see people's names. Everybody right now is muted. I'm gonna join and mute myself in a sec too, so you can see two things. Now I'm not muted yet. Now I am. But you couldn't hear me on Discord even when I wasn't muted. And that's for a very simple reason. I have configured a thing called push to talk. So my microphone only opens when I press a certain key. I will do that and you guys will hear me double. You're gonna hear this first on Discord, and then you're later going to hear it on Twitch. So to do this, to have push to talk, you would go to the settings, you would go to voice and video, you would select the second of the input modes, and then you would choose what keybind you want to use. So if I press push to talk, which is caps lock for me, you can hear me on Discord. If I don't press it, you can't hear me. Also, if you want to test your camera, you could choose the camera you want to use. Like I have this one's on the whiteboard, and there's stuff from the previous class on the whiteboard. And this one's the one on my computer right here. But nobody else is looking at it now because I'm just previewing, I'm testing it. If you want other people to see your camera, you would have to be here on the channel. Right now I can see a ton of little icons, but nobody's camera is on. If I turn my camera on, oh, I can't turn it on because we have more than 25 people on the channel. But if we have less, you could turn your video on, and you can also share your screen. So if you have a problem, if something's not working like it should, you can just show your screen to everybody else. Just gonna hide this. We have tons of people now. And you're free to use the Hangout channel whenever. You're also free to use the other channels. Clases de Elisa is what I usually use for my classes in Spanish. Exámenes, it's a logs channel where I take people who are presenting an exam so that other people can't barge in. And this is the one we're going to use for programming classes. But you can use all of these channels for like pretty much whatever you want to. And you could also make group chats with your friends if you want to practice something. We are going to possibly make a channel here for C language related things. But the important channel for us is in the this semester's category, Febrero-Junio 2021. Here we have program, which is where all of this stuff is going to be taking place. There's a lot of other channels like pictures of cats and free video games and like whatever. You can go there too. But it's really important you're looking at this channel. So you can mute all the other channels if you'd like to get less notifications, or you can just turn Discord notifications off. But it's really important that you pay attention to this channel. Now, looking at the channel, we can see that most people are purple. What does it mean that they're purple? It means that they have the role associated to the programming class. How did they get the role? They typed exclamation ROL. That makes the role assignment. So right now, Vera and Moises, I really need you to write that so you get the role. If you're in a different color because you're in a math class and you just want to stick around, or from some other class, other school, and you just want to be here, you don't have to do it unless you want to get notifications anytime I'm speaking to my programming students. But I need all the programming students to have this, so you all need to become purple. Also, another thing, if you are a programming class student who's actually taking the class, it's important that you tell my bot your student ID number, because this same bot, this math bot here, he's going to be taking the attendance list. And if you haven't told him your student ID, he's not going to know who you are. So we're going to right click on the math bot and click message. Then you'll type your student ID, the 7 digits, you'll send it, and he'll thank you for having sent the student ID number. Now, one thing I need to check is, okay, I haven't enabled this for programming, and I actually think we don't really need it. I would like to think that you guys just help each other because that's the right thing to do. For the math students, I have to bribe them into helping each other, which is kind of sad, but it seems to work. Okay, so everybody should have the role, and everybody should kind of understand how to use Discord. If you have some question that's really a private matter, that nobody else is ever going to ask me that question, and it involves your personal information, then you could send me a private message on Discord. If the question is something that some other person might be able to help you with, or something that some other person might also have the same question, please always write them here on the channel. Because I have about 200 new students this semester, so when people send me messages like, teacher, I don't know how to use Discord, I'm like, well, that's really sad and a bad thing for you, but there's nothing I can do, because I can't really tutor 200 people. I can teach them the classes, but I cannot individually attend every single thing they come up with. But if you put it on the channel, everybody else is going to be able to answer to you as well, so you probably get help much faster. Another important thing about Discord are the pinned messages. Here I pinned the Twitch channel so you won't get lost, and I've also pinned the website. I'm going to open the website, but we're also going to look at Twitch. So let's also open this, and I'll talk a tiny bit about Twitch. So basically on Twitch, there is a chat to the side. There's like emojis you can get. There's some that are for subscribers, some that are for like for different reasons. Everybody should be able to type once you have your account. If you click on follow, you get the notifications. If you happen to have Amazon Prime, you could also sub me. You don't have to. I think you get even less advertisements if you're subbed. And there's a lot of other people you could also go look at. I have so many followed channels. This is my Peruvian friend. I think he's watching us now. In 2 days, I have to go renew his the subscription for his Twitch. And he's not playing now, but he is hosting this other person, Star Dancer. So when you come to my channel and I'm not on, you might see one of my friends playing because I'm hosting them when I'm not teaching. If you also stream on Twitch and you would like me to host you while I'm not teaching, just let me know what your Twitch account is and I can add you on my host list. So that's very easy to do. We're going to check here if everybody is okay. If you have any questions regarding Discord or Twitch, please use the interrogation mark reaction, the question mark over here. If everything's fine, click on the green background check mark here. If you're trying to do something but if you think you're fine but you're just not ready yet, the confused face. And if you really weren't paying attention, you just showed up and you don't know what's going on, click on the last one. If I see anybody with questions, I'm going to stop and wait for them to type their questions. And if I see a lot of people on the confused face, I'll just pause for a while so that everybody can catch up. Okay, so we're going to look at the course website for a tiny little bit. I'll zoom in a tiny bit, but I would like to think you guys are also have it open. And I already found a typo. Let's go find the typo. Febrero is misspelled. Okay, should be better now. Okay, so today is Thursday. We're having a class in English for the 3 consecutive class hours. So we're going to be done by 5. The only thing you really need to know is high school math. If you don't understand me talking now, we're going to have a tough time. And I would really like it if you could read in English. But if that's like too much trouble for you, the textbook is actually also available, translated to Spanish. We have 4 thematic units. We're first going to look at fundamentals of programming, then structure things, modularity things, and storage things. We have 2 exams. Both of those will give you 20 points towards your final grade. We have 7 exercises that in total will give you 45 points. And then we have 15 points in a final project. And what the second opportunity exam is going to be is simply you retaking these 2. And if you only did a poor job on one of them, you can just retake the one that was bad and keep the other one. All the exams will happen at the date indicated by the school calendar at class hours. In every exercise, we first have some homework exercises online. We're going to look at those in a little bit. I'll put it in a new tab. And those give a part of your homework points. Then after you've responded correctly, the 3 little questions, you will do an actual programming assignment. And those give points according to their difficulty. The first chapter gives a little less, and then later on it gives a little more. The way in which you will turn in the programming assignments is using a GitHub repository. So now we're all going to go to GitHub. But if you do not have a GitHub account, you need to make one. This is also free of charge, but this is where your codes are going to go. When you turn in homework, you will put it here. and I will look at it from here. So you're gonna create an account, then you're gonna make a new repository, and that's where your codes are going to be. I'm actually gonna also make a new repository. Actually, we can just call it C. Nice. Okay, all your repositories are going to have to be public. I need everybody to be able to see everybody else's homework. Okay, I have made a repository. When you've made your repository, please share me the link to your repository, like this stuff that says up here. You will put that on our Discord channel. Only that, because the bot already knows your student ID and your Discord user. I can get from the bot which one is which person, but I do need to see everybody's repositories, and you can follow each other's repositories. So like anytime I do something in my repository, you would get a notification. I'm not actually going to interact with it from the website a lot. I could do it today so that you can see me use it on the web version. What I actually use is either the command line or this thing called GitHub Desktop. Okay, how do I make it refresh so I can actually see my new repository? No, I don't want to look at the simulation one. I really hate using desktop things. Clone repository. This one. Okay, so now I have a version of it here, and I could interact with it from here. There's lots of tutorials you can use to learn GitHub. This is not really urgent because you don't have to really do anything here today, but it would be good for you to start learning GitHub. And as soon as you have your repositories, please share those. And I know we have a lot of people, so we're actually going to have to do like co-grading, that we're all gonna be needing to check other people's repositories to check if their codes are fine and to give them feedback, because I want to do that part during class hours. So I'm gonna pick a couple of programs, I'm gonna look at them, I'm gonna talk about them so everybody can see what I'm doing. And then each of you will go over other people's codes and let me know what you think of them. And that's how we're going to be grading the programs. Please don't copy other people's code. I'm just going to send you to a disciplinary hearing if you copy somebody's code. It's much better to write your own poor code than copy it from somewhere. I'm gonna know if you copy it. Don't be dumb. Like if you bring me a code and like, yeah, ma'am, I made this code. I'm like, yeah, you didn't, because you kind of learned C last week and this thing looks like it was written by a pro. I know there's something wrong. You don't, because you don't know this stuff yet. So don't try to cheat in any way. I'm going to notice and it will end up very poorly for you. You never copy anything from anywhere. If you had to look at somebody else's code, you will write a comment indicating which part is based on which source and where does the part that's based on somebody else's code end. If somebody helps you, you also write it in a code comment that somebody helped you. During the exam, you're not going to be consulting any websites or books or notes of any kind. What you can use is a reference card. So everybody needs a reference card. There are lots of different reference cards. I'm going to Google one. This one looks fine. I'm going to put it on the Discord channel. So if you have a printer, get one of these. If you don't have a printer, you can just make it your desktop background. But you need to have one of these things at hand, because you're never going to remember how to abbreviate the names of the functions, what the operators are. So everybody just download one of these, put it somewhere accessible like your desktop, and you need to have it at hand. You're going to be looking at it also during the exams. Usually just having 2 sheets of paper should be just fine. We could also see if we can find something that's made as a desktop background. I can't type. They look mostly like they are the same exact thing. This might work. Or you can make your own. If you make your own or you find a good one, please share it on the Discord channel. But it's very important you have something like this at hand so you don't have to be browsing the book or Googling every single thing. In the exams, we're probably going to use the same scale. 1 point for doing things right, 0 points for doing something that wasn't the right thing. A plus sign if you did kind of the right thing but not really, and a minus sign or a dash just means that you didn't respond. We have a weekly schedule here of what we're actually going to be doing. I hope tomorrow to be able to take everybody's repositories and put them here on the website. So today we're going to be talking about conditions and cycles and a little bit about diagrams. This one's going to be the first chapter of the book. This one's going to be the second chapter. This is chapter 3, chapter 4, chapter 5, 6, 7, and 8. So the book we're using is this one here, Kernighan Ritchie C Programming Language. I don't think I have Kindle on this computer. I should probably actually install Kindle on this computer. So I'm just going to enter the Kindle on my... Actually, this works. I'm going to enter Kindle on my iPad to take you guys a screenshot there. If you don't have money to buy books, this is really easy to find in PDF by Googling both the English and the French version. Please don't make me find it for you, because I'm supposed to be here encouraging everybody to do the legal and the right thing at all times. But I'm just telling you it's really easy to find it if you need to find it. Still loading onto my Kindle to find it. And I'm going to send you guys a screenshot of the table of contents. Just the first part of it. So in the weekly schedule, when you see things written, you just look at the table of contents of the book to know which part you need to read. And I'm not going to read this chapter for you. That's just dumb. You are going to read the chapter. So it's really important that before the 18th of February, everybody has read the first chapter called A Tutorial Introduction. And on that day, we are going to answer the mini questions on the website, and you're going to start programming the first programming assignment. Then during the following week, you will finish that programming assignment and read the second chapter. Then during class, we answer the mini questions and talk about the next homework and grade the first one. And that's how we're going to be going. So today, we're just going to try to understand basic concepts. We're going to install and try out some of the practical things, but we're really going to focus on conceptual understanding instead of writing a lot of code, because a lot of people get really lost. So you don't have to write any code today. You can just look at me write code today. If you want to and you already installed the tools, you can also write code today. Then next week, we're all going to be learning to use these tools together. We're going to practice on how to put code on GitHub. We're going to practice on how to compile your code with GCC. I'm going to show you how the editor works that I'm using and all those details. So don't panic if you haven't installed anything yet. You can just look at what I'm doing today and then install the stuff for next week. Okay, so the stuff we're going to install other than the GitHub stuff is a C compiler, GCC, which is the GNU C compiler, which is totally not this company that makes concrete. It's totally this compiler down here. So this is free software. I'm linking this too. You can get a lot of different tools that include this particular compiler. If you have a Mac or a Linux, you probably already have GCC installed. The easiest way to find out would be opening a new terminal window. If you don't know what a terminal window is, please don't hyperventilate, you'll be fine. If you type GCC and press enter and it says CLang error, no input files, you already have GCC. It's just telling you that there's nothing to compile. If it says something like command not found, then you don't have it. There are tons of different environments you could use to install this. If you're in Windows, you probably want something called an IDE, which could possibly be this one here. No, that doesn't exist anymore. Oh yeah, the one thing that I was thinking that you could use code blocks. That works just fine. There's a lot of other things you could use, like editors where you could incorporate the backend. And I think you could also use, there's this sad little thing that they use at our school. It has a funky name. Oh, it's called DevC. When you're using DevC, what it actually has inside is GCC. So you're still using GCC and you're still programming in C. It's just an environment for people who like to press buttons instead of typing things. So this is another thing you could use. It should be safe. I'll put it on Discord as well. I really don't care what you use as long as you know how to use it. We're not gonna do any homework today, but it would be helpful if we could all register. So to register, you need to go to this page here that says Resultados de Cursos Activos de Licenciatura, and it's really important that it needs to say Programación Estructural. What you need to put here is an email. It doesn't matter which one you put, but please don't forget which one you put. You're the only one who knows what you put here. And your whole student number. The entirety of your student number has to go here. All the 7 digits. Then you select your study program. If it's none of these, but you are at FIME, please tell me what it is and I'm going to add it. If it's not these, because you're not a student of FIME, then click Other. Then you click Register. If you've already done this, your study program shows up here. If you haven't done it yet, you have 3 question marks. If you did otro, because your study program didn't exist when you did it and you hadn't read my instructions on Discord, I will need to reset it for you, which I can actually do really easily. Where's my other terminal? I'm just going to go erase the sign up of all the people who didn't, who put otro. So they're just going to redo this. So I'm going to find this 77405 person. 77405 person. Oh, they haven't signed up at all. Who has? The 077492 person has signed up. Okay, you've been erased, so you'll do it again with your actual study program. There's another one here, 920029. You have also been erased. 1191 hasn't signed up yet. I have others. Everybody here is fine. Okay. So just if you had selected other, please go do it again. I'm gonna make another poll. If you have any questions about GitHub, about creating the repository, you don't have to do anything other than create it today. Or if you have questions about registering on this page here, please click on the interrogation, the question mark. If you're fine with both GitHub and the registry, please click the green thing. If you're fine but you're still working on it, then the third option. If you just showed up and you don't know what's going on, the fourth option. If there's someone on Twitch who isn't on Discord and would really like to be on Discord, please send me a direct message on Twitter, not on Twitch, but on Twitter, and I will give you the invitation to the Discord. Okay. Edgar, Lil, please start typing your questions on the Discord chat so that we can attend every single one of these questions before we do anything further. In the meantime, I need to go erase another thing about the, actually don't try to register yet if you had the otro, because there's another file I need to purge because of that still. Okay, I think you should be fine now. If you still show up as other, I'm going to erase your sign up again. Let's see. No, there's no others now, so you should be safe to redo it. Let's look at these questions. Leah, it doesn't matter which license you pick. It would be very important to, at some point before you graduate, learn about the licenses, but you can just pick one of them. Edgar, I'm not going to repeat because this is all recorded. You can watch the recording as many times as you'd like. It's recorded on Twitch and I will also export it to YouTube. But I don't think it's prudent to repeat and make other 59 people listen to the repetition when you can just look at the recording at any time. Also, if you think something really important is going on, you can make a clip on Twitch, which means it's kind of like an instant replay that you can watch the recording of what just happened very quickly and you don't have to wait till the end of the class. So you guys can watch the class over and over again as many times as you'd like. And anytime I ask you to do something, you can just pause the recording and do the thing. But no, we're not going to repeat everything we've done. We've been live for 35 minutes and it's a lot of work to repeat everything from the beginning. If your question has been answered, please click on the question mark to remove it and go on the green column. Waiting for Diego's question. I just chose the git ignore, that was the C language one. You don't really need to pick any. You can just leave it blank. A git ignore is just a list of files that will never be added to your repository. I'm gonna make a git ignore next week when we start playing more with the tools for myself. Yeah, the point of a git ignore is not putting in the repository files that are not supposed to be there, like backups or images or data that you're not willing to share. And especially the executables, you don't ever want to put them there. You just want to put your source code, like .c and .h files are the ones we're actually going to be putting there. I still see 4 people with questions and 12 people who are still busy. Diego, Eric, can you type your questions, please? We still have some people who haven't registered. If your student number ends in 492, check if you're this person here. Same thing if you're 571 025 904 062. Tons of people haven't registered yet, but everybody needs to. So right now, you can see here on the summary statistics how many people for each study program have completed the registry. So we're 65 total, and tons of people haven't done anything yet, because this is, let's say, 30, 44, 45, 53 people have registered. So we have, 12 people who haven't. Then after you have registered, you can go to this homework site here, and it's going to generate your personal assignments. Not everybody will have the same exact questions, so don't panic. If your answer is 1, somebody else's answer might be 2. Everybody's exercises are a tiny bit different. The important thing is that you always put the same exact email that you registered, because only those points will go towards your student ID number. So this is not for this week. This is what we're going to do in 2 weeks once we have read the first chapter. So there is no rush to do any of this. Oh, I should change the backward link, because the backward link goes to a very, very, very old version of this class. Now, if I could just remember what I called this one. Let's go look at it. Estructurada. Okay. Estructurada. I can't type. Estructurada. Then we change the update date to today. We go back And now it goes where it's supposed to go. Nice. Gonna check if there's still people with questions here. 3 people still with questions. Oh, I'm one of them. Vera and Bossmaster. Can we please know what's going on so we can help you? You can later consider putting like a user icon like Felipe and I have on our GitHubs. It might be easier to remember who you are. Now everybody just has this generic thingies. Okay, your student's ID doesn't appear complete. What's on the listing are the last 6 digits, I think. Let me open it again. Yeah, these are the last 6 digits. So if you're looking for yourself, use Control F and look for the last 6 digits. Skip the first one. If you don't show up on this list, it's because you weren't on my student list this morning. This morning I logged on to Siase and I copied everybody who was signed up. And those are the people who show up here. If you don't show up here, it's because you weren't on my list this morning. I'm going to check the list again next week because I know that the department in charge of signing students up for courses is a little, let's say, challenged. So it might take a little while for everybody to start showing up correctly on the listing. You can still register, you can still do assignments if you want to. And actually, you guys, if you want to read the book and answer these questions, you can go ahead and do it today. Like, no one's going to stop you, but we're going to do it together 2 weeks from now. Okay, looks like Diego is fine. I think Bossmaster is fine. Okay, so let's not worry about this stuff right now, and let's try to concentrate on what we were going to learn today. First, I'm going to go on the whiteboard, where the first thing I have to do is just erase all the stuff that's already on it. And we're going to talk about a couple of basic control constructs that we're going to want to implement. We're going to revisit all of this next week and the week after, so don't panic, please don't panic. We're starting from 0 and we're repeating the basic stuff many times over. So if you don't understand it, you can rewatch the recording and we're going to talk about it again next week. So let me get rid of set theory. I spend all the morning and early afternoon teaching discrete math, so now it's a change of pace and we're going to talk about programming. So, we have 2 very basic concepts that we have to dominate to be able to tell computers what to do. We need to be able to do something in terms of a condition. So like, if it's too bright outside, lower the curtains. Or if it's too cold inside, turn on the heating. So this kind of a structure, it's going to be an if clause. If something is true, then do some actions. When we express this in programming languages, it always looks a tiny bit different. In C, what we're going to do is we're going to write the if, we're going to leave a space, then we're going to put a parenthesis, and in here we're going to put whatever the condition is. We're going to close the parenthesis, and then we're going to put a curly brace. Then in here, we're going to write what we want to happen if the condition is true, and then we close the curly brace. In a flow chart, what you usually would do is you would use a diamond. You would put the condition here, then you would make two branches. The stuff you do if it's true, and the stuff you do if it isn't true. So the stuff that we want to happen here goes in this branch. This other branch is optional. If I want to do something when the condition is true and something when it isn't, what I will do is I will add here an otherwise clause. If this condition is fulfilled, do X. Else, do Y. If I have three options, I can chain this stuff. So I could do stuff like if something, else if some other condition, and if none of these conditions are okay, then I would do the else. I can just do an if, I can do an if with an else if, or I can do an if with an else, or I can do an if and an else if and an else, and I can just repeat this else if as many times as I want. Later on, we're also going to use another structure called a switch case that lets me pick between multiple different options. But when somebody says condition or if clause, it means this. If some condition is fulfilled, then something will be done. This is the first concept we really need to understand. The condition could be very complex. It could be combined efforts of different things, or it could just be something like if the temperature is below 17 degrees, then turn up the heater. Or it could be if the plants are in front of the window and they need light, then turn up the curtains. Like we could make combinations with logic. We're going to practice and use all of that too. But the very first thing we need to accept is the concept of a condition. Once we have a concept of a condition, we can make it into a concept of repetition, which would be you having your condition here. If it's fulfilled, you do something, after which you return to the same condition. If that condition is still true, you go and repeat that something. When the condition isn't true anymore, then you go do something else. So these thingies, where we repeat the same thing over and over, these things are called cycles. We're going to have two different ways of making cycles in the C language. We're going to have the for cycle, and we're going to have the while cycle. And the while cycle has a variant, which is the do while cycle. We're going to learn all of these in detail. But just try to remember, in flowcharts, conditions are usually diamonds. Action statements that you make are usually just boxes. And from a condition, you have at least one arrow pointing to what's the thing you do if that condition is fulfilled. And you might have multiple options. None of this is complicated. None of this is really even important to draw, but it's important to understand. So what we're going to try to do today is practice with a very simple condition and a very simple cycle. I will be doing this in C. If you already have things installed for you to do it, you can do it too. But please don't start installing things now. Please just look at what I'm doing, then install the stuff for next week, and then next week you try it, okay? No, we're not gonna put the Discord invite on Twitch, guys. If you need the Discord invite, you're gonna need to ask for it on Twitter. Let me see if somebody has actually asked for it on Twitter. Like, I don't need every single Twitch troll imaginable showing up on the Discord where I'm teaching, because it's really inconvenient. No, I don't see anybody on Twitter asking for the code. I'll check again in a little while. So now we're going to get rid of this Discord window here. Actually, let's do a little poll. If you have questions about what I just said on the whiteboard, please let me know. If you think you understood everything, use the green one. It wasn't particularly complicated, but when there's stuff that's really new to you, it's easy to get confused. We have a question from Yonakun. Can we please see the question? Somebody else is typing. Person with the question isn't typing. Three people have questions. Nobody's typing the questions. Here we go. Waiting. As I've said before, you can use whatever tools you want. The more complicated the tools, the better your dominion of those tools has to be, because I am not going to install every single thing you guys are using. So then if there's some mysterious mistake, error message you don't understand, something you don't know how to configure, you're going to need to figure out how to fix it. But I give you full liberty of using whatever tool you are able to use. You just need to upload pure C code in your repository. No, nobody's sending me any code now. The code goes to the repository, and there is no homework today. Nobody is sending any code today. When we do have a homework assignment, you will need to commit and push the code to the GitHub before the next class begins, because we're going to be grading during class. It doesn't matter when you do it, as long as it's before the following class. Like if it's not there when I go to a repository to grade you, then you don't get point for it. But please, nobody try to send me any code. If you want to write practice code and put it in your repository, by all means. But I'm not going to be grading any code until like after 3 weeks. Still a couple of people typing. Also, I can't really be looking at private messages now, because if you send me private information, I can't really stream it to the entire world. And please just type your question. Please don't type stuff like Buenas tardes, profesora. I really need to know what you need. If you accidentally picked the wrong study program, by direct message, send me your student ID, and I will go manually erase the registry so you can redo it again. Or if you give me the student number and the correct study program, I can change it for you when we're done with the stream. And if you just got here, please don't start asking me questions. You will need to look at the recording of the stream. I cannot stop a class and repeat to you everything we've done in the last hour. It's really important that you ask questions here and on this channel. Do not ask me questions on private message, please, because I have about 200 new students this semester. If 200 people send me private messages when they don't know how to use Discord or when they have an error message in their code, I will never eat or sleep, much less take a shower. You need to ask questions here on the channel so that we can all help each other. It's really important. And if you show up late for a class, you really just need to watch the recording. You cannot stop the class and start asking, what are you supposed to do? You need to watch the recording because everybody else showed up on time and we can't make them wait 1 hour for me to tell you what's going on. But the class is being recorded. Every single thing we've done has been recorded. It will be available on Twitch, which is pinned here, for 2 weeks, and it will then be available on YouTube. I do not understand the question. We've already discussed the homework assignments and the points and when those are going to be turned in. You are going to have to watch the stream. It's really important you take this into account. Me repeating the class content to 200 people when they need to hear it, it's just not something we can do, unfortunately. If I had like 7 students, we could happily do everything in their own rhythm. But when there's 200 of you, it's just too bad. Okay? And once we finish the stream today, it's going to be available. I will post the link. But now I want to do this stuff with the conditions and the cycles in code. If you're still making your repository, please pause it for a while so you can look at what I'm doing. Let's call it test. So I'm going to make a test.c file. I'm using an editor called Emacs. You can use the editor of your choice, and I can later help you figure out how to use this one that I'm using. And there's going to be a lot of stuff I need to type here that doesn't make sense to us yet because this is C. Let's just first use a totally different tool to show you the concepts and then show how to do this in C. Okay, so I'm going to use a totally different thing called Python to show you conditions. So we could have something called a variable that can take a value, like x could be 3 and y could be 9. Then I could check stuff like, is x larger than 9? And is y larger than x, etc. I can test those things. So then I could make a condition. If y is larger than x, then say hello. 9 was larger than x, so it said hello. If I put them the other way around, if x is larger than y, it didn't say anything. So this is a condition. Now we're going to do this in C, and unfortunately we have to type a lot more stuff. Because in order to print, I'm going to need to bring a library of standard input and output. And what on earth is that? Printing is output. So I need this to be able to print. Also, whereas Python is interactive, it's an interpreted language where I can just type this stuff and stuff happens, C isn't. C needs to have an executable, and it needs to have at least one routine called the main routine. And there's all this mystery stuff that we'll talk about later. I'm so bad at typing. And this stuff has to go. If it doesn't go, it's not going to work because the C language is a lower level language than Python. Then here I can make my variables, except that in C I need to tell the computer what type I want them to have. In Python I can just say that x is 3, or then I can say that x is hello, if I could just type correctly. And x can be hello and y can be 9 and everything's fine. But in C, I need to say what the type is. So I would need to say that I'm going to have variables that are x and y. And those are integers. It means that those are numbers that don't have any decimal places. Enteros en español. Once I've created them, I could give them values one at a time. Whereas in Python, I could just put multiple at a time. Python doesn't care. And in Python, if I want to swap the values around, I'm just going to say that x and y are going to take the values of y and x. And this is all wonderful. But in C, horrible things will happen if you try this. You need to be very specific about things. So like in C, if I want to swap between x and y, I would need to create a third variable to be able to do stuff like z, the temporary one, is going to take the value of x, so that x can take the value of y, and after that, y can take the value that I temporarily stored. So C is a lot more detailed than Python. It's not difficult, it's just more detailed. So now if I want to do this condition stuff, I need to put the if and I need to put the parenthesis, and then I need to put my condition. If x is larger than y, then I want to make a formatted printing of hello, and I actually need to tell it to put the new line. And when I'm done, I'm going to return with some exit code. I'm just going to use 1. I'm going to use another terminal here to compile this. And you can see how stuff goes in different colors. If you've chosen a good tool, you're going to have different colors. And if you've chosen a good tool, when you close a parenthesis or a curly brace, it's going to highlight to you which one you're closing. If you chose a bad tool, everything's going to be the same color. Another important thing is figuring out a line number. There's a line number down here that shows me what line I'm at. If you can't see the line number, you're going to have a bad time. So now I'm going to compile this. It compiled. When it compiled, it created an executable file. In Windows, it's going to be named differently. You'll figure it out. I'm going to run the file and it printed hello. Why did it print hello? X was first 3 and y was 9. Then I swapped their values around, so now x is 9 and y is 3, and the program printed hello. So in Python, we just kind of do it, whereas in C, we do a lot of preparations to be able to do this. And now we're going to practice this GitHub thing. I'm going to say that I am adding this to Git. And I'm actually going to use the GitHub desktop too. Oh, one of my cats is hungry. Hello, Freya. To send this commit here. We are totally not sending this one. I'm pushing, meaning I'm sending to the cloud repository what I'm doing. And now if we go on the site, Ryan, don't cry. Where's mine? Mine's over here. If we go over here, now there is a test.c, which I sent there 37 seconds ago. And you can see it here. And if you're the repository owner, you could make changes to it. I could make it so that x is now 13 instead of 3. I'm committing my changes. So now if I do here a git pull, it means I'm taking the new version. And if we open the file testc again, the values are now different. If I run my executable, it still says hello, because this executable was compiled from the previous version of the code. I need to run GCC again for the executable to update itself. So now it doesn't say hello anymore, because now y is going to be 13 and x is going to be 9, and 9 is not larger than 13. Okay, it's time for a poll. If we are panicking about the if or the git stuff, let me know. Remember, you don't have to know how to do this yet. You will need to do this in about 15 to 17 days, so there's a lot of time still, and you can look over the recording as many times as you'd like to learn to do this. I'm also going to do one hack here in my repository, if I could just remember how it's done. There it goes. I'm going to configure my GitHub for this repository so that I never have to open the graphical one. Okay. So now if I make more changes here, I make y a 29, git add testc to tell it that I want to send it. Git status will show me that there's also this testc tilde. That's a backup file that my editor made. So I'm actually going to make a git ignore. It has the ones that it ignores because I told it to ignore stuff that comes from compiling C. But I'm also going to add there the please ignore Emacs backup files. So I add that, and then I add that file, git add, git ignore. Then I need to put a message, what have I done? And I send it. Now on git status, the files that are ignored do not show anymore. So this a.out, it's never going to show up for the commits. This test.c tilde, it's not going to show up for the commits either. And if we find this thing here and I refresh it, it's the new values now. And also, if you go to the repository, you could look at my git ignore. That now includes the part about don't put Emacs backups. So I really hope nobody is actually crying yet, but if you are, it's okay, you'll be fine. When I first studied this, there were quite a lot of people crying, and they are still top-notch executives of important companies today. So you don't have to be a whiz at this on the first day, you'll still be fine. And also it's very important, don't try to do this along with me doing it if you're not fully comfortable. You can just do it later. Don't try to do it in the same rhythm than I do it. You can try it on your own with the video. Okay, so nobody has questions, but a lot of people are still working on this. Let's look at the how to make a cycle. We'll first look at the how to make a cycle in Python because it's again much easier, and then we'll make it on the C language. We're going to first look at the most basic form of a cycle, that would be a while cycle. So if I have a variable like this x here, that's 5, I could say stuff like while x is positive, print 2 times the value of x, and then reduce the value of x by 1. So first x was 5 and it printed 10. Then x became 4. 4 is positive, so it printed 8. X became 3. 3 is positive, it printed 6. X became 2. 2 is positive, it printed 4. X became 1. 1 is positive, it printed 2. X became 0. 0 is not larger than 0, so it didn't print anything anymore and it stopped. We're going to do this exact thing over here. While x is positive, I will print. Beats me if I remember how to print in C. No, that doesn't look right. Doesn't look right either. It's really nice to pick up stuff I haven't done in ages and then try to remember how it works. Oh, but I have the reference card. Let's look at the reference card. Printing is in input output. Format string, codes for formatting. It's the percent and then the, okay, so percent I is going to print an integer, and the integer I want to print is 2 times x. The backslash n, it's just the new line character. Then we want to reduce x by 1. Okay, lovely. Let's put this one aside. Let's make the Python smaller and let's go compile. Okay, we've compiled it. I ran it. And now remember, our x here starts at 29 because they swapped the values. So this is 29 times 2, this is 28 times 2, etc. This here just means lower by 1. This here is print an integer, the percent I part. And this is simply a loop, which is a cycle of while this condition is valid, we keep doing this stuff here. When it no longer is, we stop doing it. We're going to put a smaller value here, compile, run again, and now it prints less things. We'll do git status to notice that test C has been modified. I'll use the add to schedule it for modification. With status, we can see that it's a change waiting to be committed. I'm gonna left a message here. While loop demo. I am pushing it. And once it's been pushed, if we go look at this one here, it now has the while. Let's check on Discord if anybody is hyperventilating at this point. Crying just a little bit is a good thing, if you can still kind of function. I hope you cry again and think of me when you make your first $1 million on your software company. We have a question here. Why can't I tag them? Oh, it's because it's Johan. I know this is horribly boring for the people who already kind of know this, but it's also horribly overwhelming for people who've never done something like this before. So in the first weeks, we kind of have to go with the rhythm of people who've never done anything like this before. I know that a lot of fortunate people already did some programming, maybe in secondary school, high school, but many have never done any. So we just need to go very, very, very slowly so that we don't utterly panic. But by the end of this course, you should be able to program better than decades of programming graduates that I've seen around these parts. Because a lot of people, they literally spend a month talking about variables, the second month talking about if, the third month talking about while, and then they never actually learn to program because they take forever with simple concepts. So we're going to try to quickly start to do things. I know, okay, so Brian's really worried is their homework. If you have actually been listening, you know there isn't any homework today. All the homework is clearly explained on the course website. If you click on the pin on Discord, you can read on the website when the homework's going to start. This week there's no homework, but what I've asked is that everybody make their GitHub repositories so I can put those on the website. Then next week we're really going to want everybody to have a test code, kind of like what I have now, but their own. And then the week after that, we're actually going to have homework. Because if I put homework now, we're going to have 20 people rage quitting because they understood nothing of what we did today and they are desperate. We need to let people kind of go in their own rhythm and like catch up. And really, we're going to start doing the homework when I feel that everybody's kind of on board. But yeah, the first chapter of the book would be really good to start reading it now. And while you are reading, use the tool you chose to try these things out. Okay, the same person always puts question mark, but then never tells me what the question is, so it's kind of hard to help them. Let's look at another type of a cycle. Let's look at the for on Python. Edgar, when I started learning programming, I read the same book I'm telling you to read now. I went to the university bookstore, I bought the book. I walked to my dorm room, I sat on my bed and I read the book. I just sat there and I read the whole book. Then I went to the computer lab and I started writing all of the example codes. The only way you get good at this is by doing this. And whenever I was overwhelmed with the tools, I would just ask older students. For me, it was in the computer lab asking, hey guys, I don't know what's going on. I have this error. Can somebody help me? For you guys, it will be take a screenshot, post it on the channel on Discord to ask other people, hey, I don't know what's going on here. What's my mistake? And then the other people can help you. But nothing will teach you programming other than you programming. When you read, you get an idea of what you could do. But looking at other people do stuff or reading more, it doesn't really teach you to program. The only thing that teaches you to program is you programming, you doing tiny little things. And we are going to be doing actually pretty big things in the homework assignments. But don't worry about the homework assignments that are on the website. If you want to do the ones written there now, you can. But I am going to talk with you. After we've done the mini exercises, we're going to read the homework assignment together, and then we can make changes to it. If it seems too simple or too complicated, we can modify it. So when you start making your homework assignment, always copy what did it say on the website when you started, so that if we make it easier later on, you're still going to have the definition of what you were going to do. But learning by doing together is the absolute best way to learn this. But we were going to do a for loop. Okay, so I could make here a list of values. Let's call it values. 1, 4, 7, and 9. then I could stuff file like for v in values, print v. Or for v in values, print the residue of v divided by 3. So this is a for loop. For loop doesn't have a condition in Python. It just visits every single value of a list. It's going to be slightly different in C and also a little bit more powerful, but also horribly more confusing. Because a for loop is going to have 4 different places where you can put things. This is where the regular content of the loop is going to go. Stuff like printing a value. Then there's going to be 3 parts here. One of them is going to be an initialization. For example, I could put here that x is going to be 1. Then there's going to be a condition. While x is less or equal to 5, I could increment x by 2. So first x is going to be 1. Then I'm going to do whatever is in here, since x is still less or equal than 5. Then I am going to increment x. Then I'm going to check the condition, do this thing. Increment x, check the condition, do this thing. So now I want to do something here that has to do with x. Let's print y minus x. Compile this. Execute this. So when x was 1 and y was 13, 13 minus 1 was 12. Then x became 3. 13 minus 3 is 10. Then x became 5. 13 minus 5 is 8. Then x wasn't less or equal to 5 anymore because x became 7. Let's add those here. So we can see the value of x for every single iteration. Compiling again, running again. So x goes 1, 3, 5. So initialization, condition, what you do after the stuff in here, and the stuff in here. I'm going to go on the whiteboard to draw the order of how this stuff is happening. So I have a for, and there's a thing here, there's a thing here, there's a thing here, and then there's a thing here. So what it looks like is first we do this stuff in x. Then we evaluate the condition in y. If it checks out, if it says yes, we're going to do the stuff in q. After we do the stuff in q, we will do the stuff here in z. Then we will re-evaluate the condition. And actually, let's put the yes here. It's easier to draw if the yes goes here. Then when it no longer fulfills the condition, we do whatever is here. Let's call this P. So then we do P. So this once, check this. If it's okay, do this. Then do this. Check this again. Do this. If this is, then do this, and then check if this is still okay. So we go in from here, then we go 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 here. And when this stuff doesn't evaluate to true anymore, we go here. So it's a tiny bit confusing, but you will get used to it. Also, many of these things are actually optional. I could not put anything there, it would be just fine. But if you take away the condition, the loop's probably never going to end. I could put the posterior stuff here just the same and take it away from here. This doesn't change my program in any way, it's the exact same program. It's just a little bit easier to read when the like small counter changes are put up here and the big stuff goes in here. We also have another option of the while loop that we're going to make here. Let's store in Z the value of X so that we can restore it here. And then we're going to do a do while. So what on earth is a do while? It means first we do the stuff in here, then we check the condition. If the condition is fine, we do this stuff again. Whereas in while, we first check the condition, then we do the stuff. In a do while, we first do and then we check. So let me compile this and run it. We can see that the same stuff happened twice. In the while and then in the do while. Let's put it here. Now that's the do while. That's the while. This one's the for. This one's the if. So now it's easy to tell which of the printouts comes from which of the parts of the program. Oh fuck, I forgot to, there we go. Good point. Well, I've been doing this since 9 a.m. It's kind of exhausting. I'm sorry. So what I did is I added the do while and I added some stuff in the beginning of the prints of the if and the do. Let me take a screenshot. Actually, bad idea to take a screenshot because the return doesn't fit. So let's make it all a little smaller. Yeah, I know I didn't change it. I just walked back while talking and I never remembered I was supposed to change it. Thursdays are hard for the soul. Here we go. So the changes I made, I changed the values of X and Y. I added the prefix here that it says whether it's printing from the if or the while or the do while or the for. So the do while is do things first and check the condition after. And in the while, you check first and you do later. And this is the one with the complex sorter discussed on the whiteboard. And let's see, let's send it in. Git add, git commit. It's now going to have a do while and a for. We push it in. And if you guys clone my repository, it means that you could also do pulls anytime I do pushes. If you want to clone a repository, when you're looking at the repository, there is a button. You could either download it or you could actually clone it. If you clone it, you can do a pull every time you want to see my new code. If you just download it, you get the present version of the code, and it's never going to change if I change mine. Okay, we still have people posting repositories. Let's do a poll. Like, we're pretty much covered all the stuff we really needed to do today. And I want to have at least a half an hour on Discord voice with you in case you have any questions, or you need to share your screen to show me what kind of an error message it's giving you. I really need somebody to be a subscriber to highlight messages when I forget to change the scene, because I get a noise notification anytime somebody says something highlighted on the stream. But I don't get any when you guys are in panic typing on Discord. My Discord is entirely quiet, because if I put regular Discord notifications, it never shuts up. But you can look at cat pictures. Cat pictures are very relaxing. Okay, where was I? Programming channel. So 12 people are still doing stuff. 20 people are okay. Let me wrap up the Twitch stream and join you guys on the voice channel so we can discuss any questions there. And whereas the class part, like the Twitch part, this has to be in English because the group's in English. If you have to ask questions in Spanish, it's fine. We can do that on Discord voice. So I'm going to wrap up here. I'm going to give you guys the direct link to today's Twitch video. I'm going to export it to YouTube. I'm eventually going to make a playlist on YouTube as well. Then I'll join you on the voice channel for any questions you might have.